Yeah, I did change, and I'm really glad I changed.
This one's wife, Anna Wintour, banned Meghan. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. I don't think many of you will be particularly surprised to learn that the editor-in-chief of Vogue and global chief content officer of Condé Nast, Anna Wintour, is a narcissist. An individual who is famously glacial, controlling, imperious, is very successful, and has cultivated a reputation for not suffering fools gladly, for not entertaining nonsense. Purportedly, the source of the main character in The Devil Wears Prada, one understands how this successful narcissist ensures that this success comes as a consequence of the drive that is occasioned by her narcissism. But we appear to have an occasion of when narcissists collide, as reported by the Daily Mail. This one's wife was banned by Anna Wintour from being on the cover of British Vogue in September 2022 after the magazine boss became frustrated with all of the Duchess of Sussex's micromanaging, according to a source. The necessity of micromanaging by this one's wife, or through members of her coterie, her team, is representative of certain narcissists and stems from the necessity of lacking boundary recognition, operating with a sense of entitlement, failing to exhibit accountability for the behaviours, all in the pursuit of the first prime aim, control. Unable to recognise that certain decisions are not within the ambit of the narcissist but rest with other people, the narcissist interferes, telling people how to do their jobs, making a decision, overturning that decision, reinstating the decision, leading to people not knowing whether they're coming or they are going. Tasks which ought to be delegated, they continue to interfere in and oversee because, in the words of those affected, they can't seem to let go. And that's all because of that rampant need for control. Thus, when it comes to situations around the workplace or professional matters, certain narcissists will engage in this micromanagement as a need to assert control. According to the article, this interference resulted in this one's wife and the former editor of British Vogue, Edward Enninful, drifting apart amid rumours in fashion circles of a falling out between the two over the planned Vogue feature on the Duchess's charitable work. The magazine coverage was designed to tie in with this one's wife keynote appearance at the One Young World Summit in Manchester in September 2022. You will remember that. It was when she turned up wearing red and basically put people into a catatonic state, causing glass eyes to fall asleep as placed members of her entourage whooped and hollered in the audience. It was one of the most banal and boring speeches that I've ever had the misfortune to have to analyse. Nevertheless, insiders at Condé Nast claim that the coverage was abruptly pulled and scrapped completely. An insider explained that this one's wife was being difficult about making it a cover and was insisting through her team on certain particular straplines. Once again, the manifestation of control, telling the magazine, this is what I want written about me. Anna heard about it and banned her and said, "That's it, we don't want to do this." Here, this one's wife came up against a superior narcissist. Her interference naturally resulted in a threat to control for Anna Wintour's organ, namely Vogue, and that she decided that she would nullify that threat to control by simply saying, "We're not going to bother with her." Accordingly, this one's wife did not get the cover, which of course would wound a narcissist such as this one's wife, because she believes that she is the star, the centre of every movie, and always the cover girl. Edward agreed with Anna that you don't get to call the shots on who's on the cover. That's absolutely an editor's decision. Of course it is. Yet this one's wife won't recognise that because she has no boundary recognition. Her narcissism tells her, you are the big draw, you should be on the cover, accept nothing less. She doesn't take into account that that might offend people because she's being pushy, that she's sharpening her elbows and getting her into a place where she's not welcome. She doesn't consider that this demonstrates a sense of entitlement. She doesn't realise that this shows an absence of emotional empathy to treat people this way. Anna was pissed off. Anna was frustrated with all the micromanaging and was like, all right, that's it. She can't have the cover and we're not doing the story. Once again, an excellent example of the way that this one's wife's narcissism pushes and pushes and pushes and doesn't recognise when to stop, with the result that it ends up cutting off its nose to spite its face. She ends up losing the cover and ends up losing the story by being too pushy. This one's wife's level of desire for control and detail in the media is almost like Beyoncé level, but she's not Beyoncé. Once again, this one's wife seeks to behave in a particular way, which would perhaps be more understandable for someone with actual talent and gravitas. As I've explained before, there are many people who are narcissists and are a complete pain in the backside, but they get away with it because they are undeniably brilliant and talented. They bring the crowds, and at the end of the day, if they're putting bums on seats or selling copies of whatever it is, people will let you get away with a lot. The problem this one's wife has is that she expects to behave like Elton John, but she doesn't have the draw of Elton John. She doesn't have a modicum of his talent or ability. Apparently, the Duchess is said to have been relaxed with no expectations, which of course is just backtracking in order to make her seem that she didn't care. A typical response also of the narcissist, whereby what the narcissist will do is suggest, oh, I wasn't interested anyway, which of course is an attempt to nullify the threat to control. The project about this one's wife needed a full production team, including photographers, videographers, stylists and editors to shoot exclusive images and film an in-depth video feature with the Sussexes. Shelving the project is said to have damaged Ennifold and the Duchess's friendship. Edward was furious to lose the project, as were the powers that be at Condé Nast, a source told the Mail on Sunday. Sources claim that this one's wife had hoped the couple could feature on a special digital cover of Vogue, which is released alongside the print edition. Notice, continuing to push, not getting the magazine cover in print. Well, give me the digital cover. But again, it is understood that Ennifold declined. He didn't think it was appropriate to give her the cover. Tight timings meant the whole project was eventually shelved, and relations between the pair moved to only irregular contact, which is likely a consequence of that occurring on both sides. Ennifold thinking, she's caused me a problem with my ultimate boss, I don't really thank her for that, I don't like the way that she's behaved, so I'm going to distance myself, and this one's wife, in effect, punishing him and asserting control over him by giving him silent treatments. Thus, the outcome of this is that this one's wife did not get the cover. She pushed for it, and Anna Wintour, perceiving that as a threat to her own need for control, turned around and said, no, you're not getting the cover, you're not getting the interview, we're shelving the whole thing. And once again, the pushiness driven by this one's wife's narcissism caused her to come unstuck, caused her to damage a friendship with Edward Ennifold, and lost her the Vogue cover. A failure, yet again. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.